right, we are live. Welcome to Thursday Night Live Reality Check. We have a super special guest tonight, and that's Alexander Cortes. Alexander, how you doing tonight?
How you doing, Tony?
Good to see you. We have one of my regular panel guests, Primal Man Gene. Gene, how are you?
Doing very good.
Good. AJ Cortes, Alexander Juan Antonio Cortes. Did I get that right?
You got it.
You are a physical fitness trainer, expert, Renaissance man, speaker, and I also call you a philosopher. How do you like that?
A few things.
Yeah, good.
It's good to have depth and breadth to you, so I'll take it.
Awesome. First thing I want to talk to you about tonight is, should we call you AJ, Alexander? Which do you prefer?
Either works.
Okay.
Yeah, either works.
Oh, there was one other moniker that I missed, and that would be Chadzilla.
Oh yeah, or Chad Jesus.
Chad Jesus. Yeah, that's another one also. So let's get it right into physical fitness tonight. Let's talk. Give us a backstory on how you got into it and basically how you got here.
Oh, the backstory. I don't know if it's that interesting per se, but when I started personal training, so it was 2010. So for background context, my original career plan so many years ago as a teenager was to be a professional ballet dancer. So I went to college to get a dance degree, which is not a useful degree by any means. Went to college to get a dance degree. Got injured the first year. Got very injured in regards to couldn't train anymore really properly. And then I graduated in 2010, and I realized at that point, having gone through a variety of, whatever you'll call them now, red pill experiences, knowing that I was getting a liberal arts degree wasn't going to be worth anything, I realized that I had no real job skills at all of any kind. So what could I possibly do with a dance degree? As it turned out, personal trainers make slightly above minimum wage, and you only need a weekend certification to start training. And I was already a pretty physical guy. I like to be in the gym, I like to work out. So I thought, you know what? I can be a personal trainer. I'll get paid $16 an hour, whatever it was when I started, and I'll be able to make a paycheck. There wasn't really any plan beyond that. So that was 2010, and then I just kept doing it. Then after a few years, I got more competent at it, and I wanted to quit pretty much every year that I did it. More or less year 1, year 2, year 3. As it kept getting better, it seemed less opportune to quit. And by around year 5, I realized I could probably make some kind of career out of it, because this was like 2014, 2015. This is the rise of kind of like being like an online brand, personal brand influencer, although it wasn't called that then. And I saw people that were doing this successfully, where they had a following, they were sharing information, they were making money, and they actually managed to make a business out of themselves. And obviously I didn't plan on working hourly the rest of my life. So I created a plan of sorts where if I could get to a certain level of audience, certain number of subscribers on a newsletter, and a certain conversion rate, and selling a certain number of products or just digital programs, I'm like, I can actually potentially make a pretty good income. So that's what I did. And then by chance, this was around 2006 and 2017, I was growing my audience on Twitter, and this more or less dovetailed with like the rise of the, whatever you want to call it, the manosphere, the men's movement, self-improvement. So I kind of got, I didn't ask to, but I wasn't complaining about it. I sort of just got, put into that category. Like, oh, he's one of the manosphere guys, which is, was fine at the time. Like, all right, that's cool. I'll roll with this. Obviously I wasn't coming from a dating background in regards to being a PUA guy or red pill or, I didn't know any of that stuff existed until really 2017, 2018. I had no clue that was even out there in the internet. So that sort of dovetailed with my rise. And then, some of the guys obviously within the manosphere took off in a big way. Myself, Ed Lattimore did certainly. The Tate brothers, obviously, although they weren't really, they were on a different periphery. Tanner Guzzi. There were some of us that were around 4 or 5 years ago where we were posting online and becoming known for it, where we became, I guess, whatever you want to call a rising star, within that social realm. So, and now I'm here. Obviously, I've done a bunch of speaking with 21 Con. I've met you guys. I've met yourself, multiple times. We hung out. So it's been an interesting journey. I never planned on doing this with my life at all, but I'm not complaining either. It's quite enjoyable.
Yeah, I'll bet. I mean, especially your Twitter following. I noticed today, I think you have about 100,000 followers. Is
We're almost there. We're like 800 followers up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. And just for anybody that's watching that doesn't know AJ, I left his Twitter and his Instagram link in the description of the video. So click on that, follow him. Let's get him to 100,000 tonight. So, all right. Well, let's talk about physical fitness. What can you do for a man that's on his journey to get better? Let's start with a younger guy. What can you do for him? Say a guy in his early 20s, has never lifted weights, has never done anything like that, but wants to create a really good version of himself.
Well, there's a few ways to approach this. The way that I sometimes present to someone from a psychological perspective is that your way of being, which is how you live your life, you're either a man that's physical or you're not. And we all know what a physical man looks like. Or, we can at least think of one. We can think of a guy and he's fit. He is tall, or he projects the kind of energy of being a big man, of being a competent man that way. He's probably heroic in a certain sense. This is why we look at superheroes. We're like, oh, that's a physically powerful person. So you have to bring that out of yourself. On a practical level, if you're in your 20s, it's quite easy because you don't have too many bad habits that are entrenched. For yourself, it's probably going to be more uncertainty, novelty, unfamiliarity with the gym. And the actual process is simply going to be putting in the work, showing up, opening the gym door, doing a workout of compound movements with progressive overload 3 to 4 to 5 times a week, trying to add reps and add weight, and you just keep doing that. And then at the same time you're doing that, you hopefully learn something about nutrition. You eat higher protein. You clean up your diet. You don't eat like a child. And you'll see results within a few weeks, within a few months. And if you keep doing that for a number of years, you'll hopefully arrive at a place where you have a body that you're proud of. And you'll have the accompanying mental changes as well. So the actual process itself, there's not much to it. It is, quite easy in regards to understanding it. But it's not easy in regards to actually implementing it. What kills people is the consistency, like all things. Are you actually going to show up and do the work? Which that's a yes, no question. Either you did or you didn't.
What about genetics? What about genetics for like a younger guy? Do you think that plays a part? Can anybody build muscle?
Anyone can build muscle. Genetics are, so I'll say this, genetics are 100% real. You cannot compare one guy to another unless you have equally good genetics and equal body structure. And let's say he's 6 feet tall and you're 6 feet tall and you have the exact same size joints and the exact same ethnic lineage. Everyone's genetics are different. You will find out very swiftly if you ever work out with any group of guys. Some guys gain muscle really fast, some don't. Some guys are extraordinarily strong at certain movements, some are not. Some guys, everybody has like that sort of a best pet muscle group they train, whether it's shoulders, whether it's chest, whether it's back, whether it's arms, whether it's legs. Everyone has a really responsive body part that responds to everything else. So genetics are real. And if you're blessed with great genetics, you might get results. You'll get an accelerated rate of results plus a higher level of results with the same amount of work. And that's awesome. It's good for you. You got the genetic gift. If you don't have that, then you don't have that. You're just going to have to accept that it's going to be a patient process, and it's going to take however long it takes. A lot of the programs I do have, obviously for sale, they're not written for like genetic elite, because the guys who are truly elite, they can do anything they want. Run any program, it doesn't really matter. The majority of the programs I have, or at least they're certainly the best selling ones, they're written for guys who are ectomorphic body type, hard gainers, don't gain muscle easily. They're written for guys who are skinny fat, where they're naturally higher body fat, unathletic. They're written for guys who are tall and skinny, where they don't have the structural genetics to, let's say, like be massive. Even so like with my primary fat loss program I have, like if you're really struggling with stubborn body fat, you'd commit to 60 days of accelerated fat loss and you'll lose some body fat. So I've written a variety of training solutions for the people who, have less than optimal genetic coding, however the hell you want to say it. But in regards to making that like an excuse, I just don't buy into that shit at all. One thing that's happened is I've gotten more and more into this industry, and I've had so many clients at this point that the capacity to come up with reasons as to why you can't do something, for most people, that's the only thing that they have infinite skill at. Like, what's the one thing that you're really, really, really extraordinary at doing? You can make up fucking excuses as to why you can't build muscle, can't lose fat. I don't give a shit. I've heard everything, and it makes no difference. You're gonna live and die by your choices. So if you want to die skinny or die overweight, by all means, go ahead.
So let me ask you a question then. Is there such a thing as a hard gainer?
Oh yeah. Some guys are just
that word a lot in the physical.
100%.
What is a hard gainer?
So hard gainers, everyone has a different adaptive response curve to stimulus. So if we go to the gym and let's say we do 3 exercises for chest. We do dips, incline chest press, and we do push-ups. And one guy, he gets out of that one workout, let's just say hypothetically, he builds 20 grams of muscle. And then the next guy builds 10 grams of muscle. And you have to remember, like, an individual workout's not going to add on pounds, obviously. It's micro amounts. So you have one guy that he builds, X amount of muscle. This guy builds Y amount of muscle. And then you have one guy where he doesn't almost barely build any muscle at all. It's like an extra gram of tissue that gets added. That's a hard gainer. So you have guys where their bodies, they might be able to train very hard, but they simply grow at a very slow rate. That's just how it goes. It doesn't speed up. Unless you wanted to use anabolics, like, you can't make it go faster. They're just slow to grow. Saying goes in the fitness world. So what do you do? Those are the guys where the margin of error for discipline is quite low. You have to do everything right. You can't skip workouts. You can't skip meals. You have to eat a lot. For guys who really struggle to gain weight, you have to eat like it's your job. Like the classical bro model of 6 meals a day, that fucking works. It works, and it's been proven to work, and it's been practiced for decades and decades and decades at this point, and you're not going to find a better way. If you are the kind of guy where you gain muscle that slowly, you have to be in a calorie surplus. You have to be eating enough. You have to be doing that every single day. You can't be missing workouts. You have to be in the gym. You have to be counting your reps. You have to steadily be trying to increase your weight and get stronger. And maybe in a year you can gain 10 pounds and someone else gains 20, but oh well. The advantage of guys who are hard gainers sometimes is because they're slow to gain muscle, they might not necessarily gain much body fat, so they can actually stay pretty lean while they're growing. But then at the same time, like, you have to accept your genetics. Like, okay, I'm not going to be a freak. I'm not going to be weighing 250, plus, whatever your idea of like a massive guy is. If I can gain, over the course of 5 years, if I can gain 25 pounds, awesome. That's pretty good. Some guys gain a lot their first year, some don't. Again, that depends upon genetics. My experience has been that if you do everything right in your first 2 years of training, you should reasonably be able to expect like a 20-pound muscle gain. That means like you're lifting heavy, you're just eating protein, like about 20 pounds. So if you go from 140 to 160 or 170 to 190, like, that's pretty good. And some guys it might be a lot more. Some guys it might be 20 pounds in the first year, and then 10 pounds the next year. Like, I mean, the rate of gain, is going to be variable a little bit, but every guy can put on 20 pounds of muscle. That's not impossible at all. It's just doing the right things repeatedly over a long period of time.
Yeah, I mean, for myself, I think it's funny you say that, because I spent a lot of the winter trying to put on more muscle, and what I had to do was eat and eat and eat way more than I normally would eat. So in the past month, I actually dropped about 10 pounds, and that was also from eating. So, I just completely switched diet, went full protein, very little carbs, if any at all, usually week on the weekends. And I wanted to do it for summertime body, to be more shredded in the summer. So that was my purpose. But also, I'm 58 years old, so I don't know if let's talk about guys that are in their 50s.
Yeah.
They say 50 to like 65. How does a guy like that, say, who hasn't worked out, how does he get into training? and what kind of results will he have? And I'm going to add this to it, because to me, for my age, what I found out, and this has pretty much been since I was probably in my late 30s, has been diet to stay fit and healthy. Now, when I go get my blood work done, it's absolutely perfect. My testosterone levels are 3 times what they should be. Things like that. So, yeah. So my testosterone levels are, I carry. I don't carry a lot of extra weight either, obviously. So, so what can a guy do, say in his 50s, that wants to improve himself?
I mean, so once you get into your 50s, let's just assume that hormonally that your testosterone levels are healthy. Your training is not going to be that much different from a younger guy. The thing that you have to keep in mind is that you need to keep everything joint friendly as possible. And this goes for really any age with training, but as you get older, like your body is going to be older, obviously, there's going to be some level of wear and tear. So your margin for error for getting injured, it's diminished. That's just the reality. It's gone down, of course. And you're not going to want to train and do stupid stuff in the gym. Oftentimes when guys are younger, it's very common. They try to burn themselves out doing whatever workout that's 2 hours long, or X amount of sets for legs, or high rep deadlifts, or you're doing some wacky superset for chest that's like plyo push-ups, superset with bench press, or superset with whatever. I'm like, that's just not necessary. It wasn't necessary in your 20s, not necessary at 50 or 50 plus. So your workouts, they're going to have to be joint friendly. You want to actually keep your body supple. Your training volume, you're going to have to account for that. So you're not going to want to probably do really high volume training because they're going to take longer to recover from. The thing that stops older men, it's not necessarily they can't train as hard, it's that their recovery is a lot slower. So something that made you sore for, let's just say 2 days when you were 25, now 55, you're sore for like a week. You feel it. This is a really common experience. I'm not that age yet, obviously, but I've had lots of older clients tell me that, where they train legs and it takes them like 5 or 6 days to recover from the leg workout. And it's not because we did anything stupid. It's just like it just takes them longer. So then your training, you have to be a bit more economical with it. Maybe training 3 days a week is all you need. Push day, pull day, legs, and that's it. You don't need to go any more than that. Maybe the number of sets you're doing in a workout, you keep it around 12, maybe maximum 16 sets. You're not doing lots and lots of sets. You're doing 1 or 2 working sets for the exercise, and you're moving on to the next one. And you're still going to train with progressive overload. That's not going to change. You're still going to try to add reps. The rep range might change a little bit. Maybe when you were younger, you did a lot of heavy sets, 3 to 5 to 6 rep range. Now that you're older, maybe you're doing 8 to 12, maybe even more like 10 to 15 or 15 to 20. Higher rep training works fantastically well for building muscle, and especially as you get older, you need to maintain as much lean body mass as possible. So sticking with the high rep stuff for most of your movements, that's a very effective strategy. And then the last portion of that would be the diet. It's going to be, it already needs to be high protein, but as you age, your absorption rate for protein tends to diminish a little bit. So you need to consume more protein as you get older versus someone that's a bit younger. So, whether it's protein shakes or whether it's just eating a hell of a lot of chicken breasts and meat or chicken thighs and steak, whatever the case may be, protein take's got to be high. At minimum 1 gram per pound of body weight.
All right, excellent. I'm glad you said about the reps thing, because this is what I want to talk to you about too here in a bit. Is would you call your type of training like standard bodybuilding, physical fitness, weightlifting? I mean, is that a standard? Because there's also the high intensity training also that we're hearing a lot about.
No, I don't really have a style of training per se. Like it's always contextual to the individual. High intensity training in regards to like the sort of the Mike Menser style, just doing 1 working set. I am not a proponent of doing multiple sets, of an exercise per se. Let's say doing 5 sets or 6 sets. Maybe 4, maybe 3, maybe 5 if the reps are low. There's different rep schemes I've used. I've used cluster sets. I do use things that are 8x5, 10x3, 12x3. But those might be for younger athletes. In regards to just straight hypertrophy with trying to keep the overall stress to the minimum, 1 to 2 working sets works really, really, really well. Are they done hit style per se? Yeah, I don't do things like forced reps, or like omni reps or stack reps. I keep it very basic in most of my programming, where it's just you're just going to take a positive set to failure and that's it. Maybe the second set will be a drop set, but just a positive set to failure. And that works. Yeah, there's been a lot of research on training volume over the years, and there's not dramatic differences between doing 1 set versus 2 versus 3 or more for a muscle group. There is some body of research that shows that higher volume training for a period of time can yield more muscle growth, but it's a short-term effect. You don't necessarily need to train that way all the time. You just do it for maybe 3, 4, 6 weeks, 12 weeks maximum. And the rest of the time, again, what matters is just mechanical stress increasing, progressive overload. Are the weights getting heavier over time? So long as you're doing that, you're going to keep growing. Whether you have a preference for higher volume training or lower volume training or hit training, I say that's personality driven. Honestly, it comes down to personality. Some guys really, really like the idea of doing only 1 hard set per exercise, and that's it. Like they like it. They like it's very systematic. It feels scientific to them. Maybe they sort of have like a hyper objectivist approach to their workout. Like, all right, I'm going to train this way. I love it. And then you have other guys where it's like, I don't really enjoy training that way. And if you don't enjoy training that way, that's half the battle, because there has to be that mental buy-in to what you're doing. You have to believe in it. So maybe it's 2 or 3 sets. Go ahead.
I'm glad you said that, because I spent probably December and the first 2.5 months of the year doing high intensity training.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to be honest, I didn't enjoy it as much, and it's not because of the pain. So what I actually do now is I alternate. And on my workouts, I just work out every other day. Mm-hmm. I do high intensity training, skip a day, and then do my regular workout, and then do a high intensity training, and then back to my regular workout. It's funny because sometimes I like to do like 15 reps with dumbbells on my incline press. I enjoy it. Yeah. And you said that. I enjoy doing it, so.
Oh yeah, the mindset has to be there. And the other factor too is I've seen every single thing work. I've seen crazy high volume work. I've seen crazy low volume work. I've seen everything work. So the idea that there's this ultimate training set rep model style, I just consider it bullshit. You can find an example for every kind of methodology. Conventional bodybuilding training, HIIT training, high volume training. There's guys that have successfully used all of them. So what's the best one? What's the best one for you? What do you like to do?
5x5, 3x5.
Yeah, and where are you getting stronger at? That's the other question. And also you have to have very clear parameters as to like what constitutes progress. The way I train people now, or the way I sort of devise training, you want total body muscular development on every single joint. You're not going to get that from only 3 exercises. It's not happening. This is kind of like my criticism of like the Songs of 5 rep programs, actually, where it's like, all you need to do is squat, bench, deadlift. I'm like, that's not sufficient. And if you're talking about actual athleticism and improving like gait mechanics and making someone more efficient in actual movement, doing heel heavy lifts with a wide base is not going to do that. That's a different style of training. So then the training needs to fit the context of what you're doing. And this is why I'm always a monster for context, but that's like the nuanced conversation that, that if you're having it with like fitness professionals, it's like, what? I'm like, this is a scientific subject. This is not based upon your personal opinions about, well, I think this is good because I did it and my high school football coach made me do power cleans. Like, I don't give a fuck what your high school football coach did or what you like. If you're going to be objective about what works for training, then you have to take like a philosophical, holistic approach. How do we actually make someone better on the field of play versus how do we get someone as big as possible for bodybuilding stage? Those are 2 different things with 2 different styles, so to speak, of training. Versus how do I get stronger at squat, bench, deadlift? I'm like, that's a different specialization. So I mean, this is where this is like the training philosophy comes into play, where it's like, for HIIT training, I'm like, I've seen HIIT training on and off for years now. It's like a running joke within the fitness world about like the people who are super into HIIT style training. It works really well. They discover it works really well for them. That's awesome. If it's not working well for you or you don't like doing it, then don't do it. There's no obligation to train it in a way. Mm-hmm. This is like what actually drives objective results. Like I just go by numbers. Are you getting the results you want from it? Yes or no? If the answer is no, then find something else. Make modifications.
Mm-hmm. I want to go to my co-host, Primal Man Gene. Do you have any questions for AJ? Go for it.
You know, there's a lot of talk about people that want to get lean, but also gain strength. Say for like an intermediate or an advanced lifter.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts? Because I could ask like a question, but I'm going to ask your opinion or your thoughts on a guy that wants to get lean, but wants to build strength. Is it possible or is it not possible to build strength while leaning down significantly, say like 30 pounds?
Nah, pick a goal.
Right. There'll be some strength loss and a little muscle loss at that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, pick a goal. Like, this is one of the oldest, like, what's one of the oldest and most proven and just most basic fucking tactics. Like, how do I get stronger really fast?
Gain weight.
Weight.
Yeah.
And it might all be fat, but if you gain 25 pounds right now, you're going to have more cushion in your joints when you go to lift. You're going to have more counterbalance to lifting weight because you weigh more. You'll be stronger. Yeah, there's always this internet fantasy stuff of like, I said this today on Instagram actually, where guys, they want to gain like 25 pounds of muscle. They also want to lose 20 pounds of body fat. They also want to be, walking around six-pack abs. They also want to increase their deadlift. They also want to increase their vertical jump. They also want to know how to do jiu-jitsu 3 times a week. They also want to do more pull-ups. It's just schizophrenia.
Now, AJ, you got a guy, say he reaches his weight goal, right? Say he's pretty lean.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's focused on trying to get stronger, but them strength gains are just grinding, man, or if they come at all, and it's just like a plateau. What happens then? How do you train once you've gotten lean enough, but you still want to build, if possible?
If you're focusing on strength training now, you have to define your parameters for what strength is what does strength mean to you. Are you trying to increase your 1 rep max? Are you trying to I just want to feel stronger and move more weight in all of my lifts? Most guys.
Well, strength equaling bigger muscles. So say you want to increase your 5 rep max.
Okay.
While building muscle, yeah.
Okay, so if you're trying to increase your 5 RM, then you'd first want to approximate like what are the 3 lifts that like I'm going to use as indicator lifts. For most guys, let's just say that's squat, deadlift, and let's say like a bench or an incline bench. Okay, so you're going to increase your 5 RM. So that means you're going to be training sub-maximally the vast majority of the time. So you're actually going to be training in like your 6 to 10 RM range, trying to increase your strength there. Because if your 10 rep max goes up, your 5 rep max goes up. So you're just going to be doing the same lifts every week, adding reps, then adding weight maybe after a month as you hit certain rep goals. And most guys, their limitations of getting stronger are going to be muscular in nature. It's not going to be technical as much as just muscle mass because you need muscle to have technique. So then your secondary movements, they're supplemental, are just going to be movements that add muscle to your frame. So if it's bench press, then it's flat dumbbell bench, and then it's incline dumbbell chest press and weighted dips, and that's what you're doing. And then you just don't fuck with that for 12 weeks. I don't believe in plateaus, honestly. Like I've seen people get stronger a lot over long periods of time. Most guys, when they plateau out, which is when they tell me that, I've plateaued, I'm like, you haven't plateaued. You're just training too goddamn heavy, and you're not actually trying to build any muscle mass. You just keep testing your strength over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now you're stuck.
Well, we got a question here. What are your thoughts on CrossFit overall?
But my personal, myself, I don't care for CrossFit. I don't like group classes. I don't care about making exercise into a group fitness sport activity. It's just not for me. I don't have that kind of personality. I've always lifted weights alone. I always will. Doing workouts of the day I'd rather be in hell. From a professional perspective, I think it's great that people get together and do workouts of the day. And if that's the thing that gets you off your ass, like fucking, good for you. Kudos, hand clap. CrossFit is not a scientific methodology. It's just a bunch of shit thrown together, and some of it works and a lot of it doesn't. And hopefully you have a good coach that doesn't grievously injure you. I've also seen God knows how many injuries from CrossFit over the years. That's kind of a running joke in the orthopedics industry that if you want to open up a successful physical therapy practice or surgery clinic, you open up next to a CrossFit studio. So, the coaching quality can vary a lot.
I'm glad you said that, because I did hear there's a lot of injuries in CrossFit, a lot.
Yeah, it's gotten better. I mean, I know some coaches now, they're pretty good, but CrossFit, it just, like, what does it mean to do CrossFit? No one really has a real definition. It's like, the founder made up this term of like, to be athletic is to, work divided by, time or speed, which is, he just made some shit up basically. And then every year the CrossFit Games, it's like, all right, we're going to have you're going to run a mile, then now you're going to flip tire. Now it's like sort of like lightweight strongman plus like some endurance events. Like, it's very just haphazard. I mean, the athletes are great athletes. Don't get me wrong. Like, they're fantastic athletes. But if you're expecting that you're going to be that kind of athlete from CrossFit, you're probably not. Because the people who excel at the highest level, they were already genetically gifted to begin with, and that's not you. So, I mean, it's sort of like be akin of like, if I play basketball, I'll look like LeBron James, right? It's like, no, you won't, because playing basketball, you could be a skinny ass white boy. LeBron James is a 6'9" genetically gifted black athlete. LeBron James would be buff no matter what the fuck he did, because his genetics are better than yours. And it's same for the top level CrossFitters. Like, they don't look that way because they did CrossFit. They already look like that, and they found CrossFit. It's like, oh, here's a fantastic fucking athlete that excels, at power and speed, and they're also pretty endurance. Oh, if you use some CrossFit shit, you'll be good at it. So I don't recommend it at all, but I'm not gonna dissuade you from it if you want to do it. It's sort of like a neutral opinion. You either have the personality to go do group class shit or you don't. Like, that's the biggest factor. You either think that's really cool and they'll make you show up because of social reinforcement, or that just sounds just disgusting to you and you'd never, be in a box in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good take on that. I'm glad you said you like to work out alone, because after the whole lockdowns and the gym closed here, I built a home gym in my garage. Fantastic. And I canceled my my whatever you want to call it, my membership, because I enjoy working out alone. I enjoy it so much, I can't tell you. And it takes a whole lot less time, that's for sure.
Yes.
But let me see if there's any more questions here real quick. I don't know what this means, but it's May. Hyperborean
gains has almost ended. No, there's 2 weeks left. You know how it went. It's been fucking fantastic in the private group. Everybody gained muscle and got stronger. So that's one of my private training groups right now that I've been running. Okay. A 3-month program.
Cool.
So yeah, it's I'll be reopening it. I think 3rd week of May.
Okay. And how can everybody find you? Can they find everything on Twitter and Instagram?
The newsletters were actually like announced most things, or pretty much all things. So like be in the newsletter.
Okay. All right. Well, I got some more questions for you.
Okay, go ahead, Tony.
Couple different things. Is one thing I want to talk about is your overall physical fitness. What does it do for you as far as like your life, mentally, sex life? I'll even say your masculinity. What does it do for a man, and what does it do for a woman? Just overall for your life.
Yeah. From when I was very young, I mean, I can't ever remember not thinking this. I always associated being a man with being a physical being. So those two qualities are inseparable in my mind. To be a man is to be strong, and it's to project strength, is to have strength. You can't say that it's not. So when I got when I became a teenager, and then I first year of high school, I got into high school, I started lifting weights. It was never really a question to me that like I should be doing this, or am I cut out for this? Like, what do I like? I have thoughts, I have questions. Like, it was just something I was going to do. I didn't need anyone's permission to do it. It was something that I was going to do, and I started doing it, and I've been doing it ever since. There was no doubt that way. And as I've went through my life, and I've gotten older, at least at this point in time, it's always been very, very obvious to me the effects that physicality has. Like, it's axiomatic. It's one of those facts of life that there's no way to argue against it. I remember I've always been considered, I guess, to be an attractive guy. I remember being a young boy, being little, and girls liked me and they thought I was cute. And I remember, people like getting female attention for like, oh, you're tall and you're handsome. I remember being, as I got more physically fit in my teens, like I got positive attention from girls, positive attention from women, positive attention from men. I'm like, wow, bro, like you look great. So the effect that looks have on your life, I don't know how anyone could see that effect. Maybe they see other people who are more attracted to them, like, wow, that person looks really good, and the world seems to fucking sort of bend to their energy that way. I'm like, why would you not want that for yourself? Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I have no good answer for that. So at this point in time, like I can't divide out my being into, here's my physical self and here's the rest of me. Like, this is just what I am. Like, I can't conceptualize a world. I cannot conceptualize a life in which I am not this way. And for everything that, makes you a man, you need to be strong. You need to have physical strength. You need to have that discipline. You need to be able to project, your will upon the world. And physical exercise and, especially for physical training, like fight training I do now, that's all an applied metaphor of that. When you punch a bag, you're using your will. When you're sparring with someone, that's your will being tested. When you're in the gym and you're lifting weights, you're trying to lift heavier weights, there's your discipline. There's your perseverance. There's your self-belief. All that's being pulled out of you. That's how you develop that. It's the most direct way to develop it. It's the most direct way to change your mind, change your psyche, is physically train yourself. So if that's what it does for you and you get all those benefits from it, why wouldn't you do it? It seems obvious in that sense.
All right. Well, you said one of my next topics was going to be martial arts. You've been training martial arts for a while now. Would you recommend that to every man? I mean, why wouldn't any guy want not to be dangerous?
I absolutely would. I did Taekwondo as a kid. I remember I did Muay Thai years and years ago. Then I obviously started doing it very seriously this past year. And violence is one of the virtues of being a man. Violence is golden. Violence, you realize, can be used for moral purposes, immoral purposes, amoral purposes. Man is born to fight. That is why we've evolved as we have. That's why we have more bone mass. That's why we have more muscle. That's why we have testosterone. That's why we have the instinct for aggression. Like, we're born to suffer. We're born to be able to bear pain. We're born to be able to inflict it. So why would you not develop that? And what you find in training yourself that way, when you really push it to the edge, is that there's nothing you can't do. You have this sense of infinity where, like, that you can take anything. So what's going to stop you? It gives you a certain sense of invulnerability. That's why I think the vast majority of fighters I've met, they're all very positive people. Everyone's very relaxed. Everyone's fun to be around. Everyone's confident. There's a certain energy in the room, and it's not because everyone wants to be there and kick each other's ass and it's a chess beating match. It's because of the fact that everyone's gone through that psychological transformation, and it puts you at ease with the world. Like, you're not going to be afraid of anything. At least certainly not anything that's physical, external that way. And you see the difference between people who are trained versus untrained. And it's profound. A man that's untrained, he lacks something. Versus a man that is trained, he has a quality that he will carry with him the rest of his life. It cannot be taken away from him. And there's not going to be any situation in which that quality is not useful. Especially in regards to women, especially in regards to respect another man and honor. You need to have that. And if you don't, then you're at someone's mercy.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, man. That's really good. What is for somebody who hasn't done martial arts, I've done it for years. Mm-hmm. How do they get up the nerve or the gumption, we'll call it, to go into a dojo or go into a boxing gym? How do they get that? Because as anybody who starts, even including myself, it can be intimidating. So how does a guy who hasn't done that really get past that?
You can't be afraid. That's always a question. Like, do I actually have this in me? Yeah, maybe you don't, but you won't know that until you at least try it. You can't be afraid. The human body is tougher than anyone thinks. The human spirit is tougher than anyone thinks. Most guys that fold in fights, it's not because they got beat physically. It's because they sort of lose mentally. It makes you realize that at the highest level, everything's a mental game. It's a mind game. It's not just brute force being thrown at each other. And also, fighting is very egalitarian. Honestly, it's very equal. It is, because there's every kind of weight class. You could be a big guy, you could be a little guy, but everybody can train to be dangerous. A good little man will beat up an unskilled big man. Anyone that's been in a fight gym has seen that. You can have a bigger guy, but if he's not physically sharp, but he doesn't have the skill set, he can get torn up by somebody that's 50 pounds lighter than he is. So it makes life it makes life equal in that way. It genuinely does. Like, you respect anyone, no matter how big or how small they are. Like, you don't really care about that. You're not looking at that. You're looking at, like, does this guy have the mind? Does he have the fight? Does he have the eyes? Is he skilled? That's what you're looking at. And also, the body can take punishment. The first time people get hit in the face, it can be a wake-up call. Oh, fuck, like, this hurts. Or you realize that, you know what? I got punched and I'm fucking fine. Like, ow, my lip hurts. Whatever the fuck. Yeah. The first time you get hit with body shots, like, wow, this doesn't feel good at all. Shit. But, it wears off. The first time you get hit with leg kicks, fuck, my leg's dead. Shit. But, like, your leg recovers. Like, it's a bruise only lasting, a day or two. And then as you do it more, like, you realize, like, the body can take punishment. You can get hit a lot. You can take shots. Not to, encourage anyone to, take punishment necessarily, but you're not going to break. You're not going to fall apart because you got hit hard one time or 2 times or even 10 times. You can keep going. And, as long as you don't get tired. Because the fatigue is what kills people. Fatigue makes cowards of men. That's why a lot of guys, they freak out when they start fighting. Or at least that first month, first few months of getting your ass kicked. It's not necessarily even the skill level. It's just you get tired so fast. And, then when you can't breathe, you can't breathe, you can't move, you can tell your body has no ability to fucking, react quickly, and you're getting torn up. You're like, oh, fuck. And, like, the panic sets in. Yeah, but that's good for you, because you're still going to be alive at the end of it. No one's going to kill you. You're not going to be dead in the gym. You'll walk out of there and you'll be tired. You'll be sore, whatever. You come back, you'll be a little bit stronger. You got to give it your all every single time. If you don't put all your energy into what you're doing, the energy is not going to come back tenfold. You're not going to, recover to a higher level. So the fear that way, like, that's part of being a man, son. Like, you have to face your fears.
Yeah, and injury is part of the game. I mean, I'm one who knows that I've had various injuries throughout the years. My biggest one was shattering my collarbone, and so I got a steel plate that goes all the way across here. So I had to be surgically repaired, and it was a brutal injury that hurt.
Yes.
It's on video. One day I might put it on YouTube. Sounds like a baseball bat cracking is what it sounds like.
Yeah. And
my reaction was, I slammed my foot on the ground, and all I said was, damn, that hurts. And then I stood up, and I took my gi off, and my arm was hanging past my knee. I thought I dislocated my shoulder, but my collarbone was shattered in about 6 pieces. So yeah. Yeah, it just broke, and as bad as you could break it, it broke. But I'll call that a testament to the martial art of judo, which I trained. Mm-hmm. And I was also sparring with a guy about your size. He was about 6'4", probably 230. So, and we were into probably close to 5-6 minutes of sparring. So it was quite an injury, but injuries are part of the game.
Yeah.
From small injuries to bigger injuries. I mean, that's for me, it kind of ended my competition. It just I found out for real how, like, a professional sports guy who will blow his knee out or break his leg or something like that, on how you are actually shy of that injury. You want to protect that once you have a major injury like that. But I did find out, like, personally, how somebody can come back from that also, because I couldn't wait to get back on the mat. I couldn't wait to kickbox again. I couldn't wait to do everything I was missing for probably 14 months. So, but that was something that I really love to do. So, but I would encourage anybody also, I'm not trying to scare you, but injuries are part of it, and you will bounce back. So,
yeah,
but
blew my left Achilles out at 26. That, talk about trying to shelter your injury. That's one that you'll want to shelter.
Yeah.
And Achilles.
Yeah.
I've had a variety of injuries over the years. I mean, I had one last year when I tore a ligament in my elbow that I couldn't use my right arm for like 2 months. But it's part of the game. Like I'm always surprised by people's not that I encourage anyone to get injured, but people's aversion to getting injured. Like they're very fearful. Like, oh, what if I get hurt? I'm like, who gives a fuck? Like you're a man. Like you're not going to come out of this alive either way. Like I have no intention of being 60, 70 years old and like, oh, I never hurt my body. I'm like, it's supposed to be hurt. That's why you got the fucking bone density. Like I can't sympathize with the attitude at all. And guess what? The body heals. Like the body's supposed to heal. The body will heal. Like you can actually recover from most things, short of having your spinal cord severed. Like you actually can fully rehab pretty much anything. And like I said, not to encourage people to hurt themselves on purpose, but you get a little bit banged up, like you'll be fucking okay. That's part of the game. Yeah, if you don't want to fucking get hurt, don't do anything physical ever. Like every single sport on earth, on any high level, is gonna fucking have some kind of injury. I read something the other day. It was hysterical to me. I didn't know this, but apparently it's common for like what was it? Pro level. What was the game? Pro level StarCraft players, which is, it's a video game on the computer, right? I guess. So pro level StarCraft players are known for having really short professional careers because they get really severe carpal tunnel in their wrist. They're banging the keys out so fast. No, really, they're banging the keys out so fast they actually get degenerative carpal tunnel. Yeah, I'm like, and that's like you're on the computer. Like you would never associate injury right with that, but these guys actually drop off because their wrist can't take it anymore. Pick and choose your battles.
I've got a question here for you from Mighty Zane. What is the best well-recognized certification of individuals looking to enter the fitness industry?
There's actually a big variety, and they're all equally mediocre. Let's see. It depends a little bit on the gym chain. There's like 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 certifications now. 10 years ago, the big 4, or the most well-known 4, it was the ACE certification, ACE, NASM, NSCA, and I think the 4th one was the ISSA. Those were like the big 4. And then there's other ones. I know there's there's a company called Nesta. There's WITS. There's a few I'm forgetting. So the certification actually doesn't matter at all. It really doesn't. The best certification I found the past few years, it's called N1 education. And I don't even know if it's accepted by gyms in the first place. So, that's one I would encourage. Yeah, if you want to pursue a training career, but I don't even know if it would get you a job at a gym. The certification doesn't really matter. What matters is simply getting the experience, which that's going to require training a lot of clients for many, many, many thousands of hours over a period of years. And hopefully you can work with much more experienced coaches than yourself, of course, and you can get some mentorship that way. If training was a legitimate profession, it would require an actual degree, and it would require, you'd almost be sort of like a medical industry field where you have to get a certain number of accredited hours, like 1,000 hours accreditation, if training was a real job. As it stands, your first 2 years are going to be shit, so just accept it. And don't try to reinvent the wheel. Follow the training of much more successful coaches that have become before you. Study the old books. Get certified with as many certs as you can, and just don't hurt anyone.
All right, I got another question. I got a real good one. I want you to answer this one first, though. Alexander had to pick one exercise to do for the rest of his life. What would it be and why? Let me take a guess at this. Would it be incline bench?
No, honestly, this is a stupid fucking question.
Okay.
I get this question. I know you're trying to ask something, and maybe you think there'll be like a wise answer. It's a stupid fucking question. Okay. This is why. If you legitimately want to be physically fit your entire life, or you're in top tier shape, you're gonna have to do more than one fucking exercise. There is no one movement that trains the entire body for all things at all times at all at once. It just doesn't exist. If you want to arguably stay functional, where you can, get up off your ass and you don't have to have someone, be wiping your butt when you're 90, like always be able to walk and run. I could say that. So you could call that an exercise. You could call walking and running exercises, sure. But there's no ultimate single movement. There's not. Like if you actually want to be physically fit and you give a fuck, like you're going to actually have to train and learn how to fucking do large repertoire movements and keep doing them and do them until the day you die. It's not going to be any one thing. So,
okay.
You can only be so reductionist.
This is actually a good question here. If Alexander had to pick one question to never be asked about again, what would it be and why?
Yeah, there's probably a whole bunch of questions. I think one of the more annoying ones that I was just complaining about the other day was what foods have protein in them. The reason being, like, this current generation, like I'm gonna be like the older guy shitting on the younger generation, but since the advent of the internet, since the advent of search engines, there was this golden period in time, like the early 2000s, where you could do incredible levels of research, and your school, even as public education, probably taught you how to research a little bit, where you could get on Google, you could get on Wikipedia, you could whatever the search engine was or the platform, and you knew how to type in a query and ask a question, like like look at that, like what foods have protein? Click, and you get some answers, and you try and go through some articles and find some sources. And for people that are these, the modicum of being autodidactic, like you can actually learn a lot just by self-exploration. What I've seen happen in the last 10 years or so, I think like with Zoomers more than any other group, is that because critical thinking is no longer taught in schools and the quality of education has declined, they have no idea how to do research themselves. They have no idea how to ask questions. So they ask these very open-ended, very vague questions with no context, where it's like, hey, man, like, what are your thoughts on this? I'm like, thoughts on what? Like, like your thoughts, just be like, so like, what do you think of protein powder? I'm like, what are you asking? Like, I honestly, I don't know what you're asking. Like, this isn't a question. You're giving me like a subject. You're giving me a noun and then like a question mark. I'm like, what are you trying to figure out? I don't know, basically. So I can't complain too hard, because I realize, like, it's not these kids' fault. They haven't been taught to fucking think. Like, the ability to think critically and ask, how, what, when, where, and why. Like, they don't know how to do that. They legitimately don't know how. Trying to use some logical reasoning and deduction, the scientific method. There's no education on it. There's nothing. I don't know what the fuck's being taught in schools now, other than, I don't know, like woke bullshit. But that style of question always drives me utterly mad.
Okay, because I do notice it, because it used to irritate me, and you still say it as thoughts is not a question, but it took me a while to understand what you meant by that. Mm-hmm. I remember back in the day, I'm like, boy, that irritates me when he says that. But it took me a while to understand what you're saying, because I noticed myself saying it. In fact, our next question has it actually says any thoughts, but it is a
hopefully has some context to it.
Yeah, it does though. That's what I was going to say. So yeah, so I do notice when you do like an AMA, you do say thoughts is not a question. Yeah. So, and I wonder if anybody else recognized that. But let's go to the next question here with Mighty Zane. Do you have any insight to massage therapy? Mm-hmm. I am considering going to massage therapy school and do it part-time as a secondary option. Any thoughts?
I mean, let me try to maybe hopefully answer the meta question. What kind of job are you looking for, and how are you trying to make money? Personal training, I don't encourage people to become personal trainers. Why? Because it's not a moneyed profession. It's an hourly profession, and at your peak, you're going to be getting paid maybe $80, maybe $100 an hour if you're in like a Los Angeles or New York market. You're working on your feet all day. You're probably working very early morning hours, because there's people like to train in the morning, and you're working all day. So it's an all day job. You're on your feet. It's dollars for hours. Obviously, you can't really afford to take time off at all. Maybe if you really want to get good at it, you do it for a number of years and then you switch to online. But you have to invest 4 to 5 years to actually get good in the first place. To even be able to have a sustainable career that way. So I don't suggest personal training as a career. Massage therapy, it's still an investment. Maybe it takes 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, you get certified. There's always a high-end market of people, of high-income earners, who like to get massages. I go and get massages every week. If you think it'll be good as a side job or side hustle, by all means, go ahead and do so. I mean, that could totally work. That's cool. The way I phrase it to young guys when they have like these kinds of sort of this career questions, I'm like, everything's equal. Oh, this job pays 50 an hour. This job pays 60. This job pays 45 as benefits. Everything's fucking equal when everything sounds appealing. So then the question becomes, what do you actually think you want to do? Or not even that, what will you take seriously? This sounds good, and this sounds good, and this sounds good, and this sounds good. And if they all sound equally good, then just literally flip a coin or roll a dice. It doesn't matter. But if there's something that you know you're going to enjoy more, get more personal satisfaction from, or it suits your particular talent stack, or it's just something that you know that you would enjoy studying and you take it seriously, then go do that thing. And since everything can be made to work, there's every kind of side hustle in the world. What's the best side hustle? I don't know. What's your schedule? What do you like to do? What are you actually going to devote time to? Those are the real questions.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I want to go to, if anybody else has any questions, by the way, drop them in the chat and we'll answer them. But I want to go to, we'll say a different side of AJ right now. I want to go to Twitter AJ. And I want to talk to you about your infamous tweet from about 2 years ago. Tell us what that tweet said and why did it explode? Why did it went worldwide and go viral?
Oh, it was the beautiful woman tweet. The actual origins of that tweet, it was sort of a parody of another tweet that someone else had said, which I don't even remember the guy's name at this point. Honestly, it was some Hollywood fuck. I think his tweet was like, "Here's things that women don't have to be." This is some male feminist cringe bullshit. And it was those 12 things that I listed in my tweet. And somehow they came across my feed. I was like, this is just so fucking dumb. Like this virtue signaling, this fucking garbage. And so I just took his tweet and I just reversed it. I literally just changed a word. I was like, here's 12 things women need to be beautiful. And obviously it blew up and it went mega viral and it was cool. I think at its peak, I got like 50 million views in one day. I was like, and I remember thinking at the time, like maybe this is what like Trump feels like every day, where every day your Twitter's just fucking blowing up and people are telling you to go kill yourself. That was half the fucking tweets in response. But I've never been of the mind to be bothered by negative attention that way. All attention is good attention on the internet. And obviously the women it pissed off were bitches that I'd never give a fuck what their opinions are in the first place, honestly. So. I don't care what liberal women think. Your existence is meaningless to me. So honestly, it was just kind of fun. Blew up my account. I got thousands of followers. I had tons of chicks sending me pictures of themselves, asking if I thought they were hot. That's what you never hear about. Like the more of a misogynist you are on the internet, the more you'll get attractive women asking you to rate them and wanting your attention. This is 100% facts. Don't ever doubt that. So it was fun. And then obviously it faded away from memory after a while, but there was like the news stories, there were the articles. I still get probably once a month, I'll get some message on Instagram or Twitter or somewhere. Fuck you misogynist, Nazi, incel, piece of shit, motherfucker. I hope you die in a fire. Women hate you. Just be some random message from some angry bitch. Fucking whatever. So, I mean, I don't encourage anyone to go viral that way with negative attention. Honestly, like you have to have the personality for this shit. Like you legitimately do. You have to be a little bit psychopathic, or you can't have the kind of personality that cares about people speaking ill of you within like the internet sphere. And also obviously if you have a reputation that's like, I don't have like a reputation amongst normies. Like I don't have a job. I work for myself. I'm not concerned with being accepted in polite society, what people think of me that way. So it's just a fun ride, right? But if you do, like, that'd probably be the worst thing ever happened to you in your life because you'd be fired from everything and excommunicated probably from your social circles and all that. So, it was interesting. I can't, I'm not, am I proud of it? Yeah, fuck it. I guess I am. So, I have no regrets.
Right. Probably loud here. I'm getting a wicked thunderstorm here. That's why I keep muting my mic. But give us a little idea of what that tweet said. I mean, as far as give us a rundown on it.
You know what? Honestly, God, Tony, I don't remember.
I think it had something to do is like,
Oh,
this is how a woman is beautiful, or
all right. It was How to Be Beautiful, 12 Steps to Being Beautiful, something like that. I think it was, all right. I think it was Be Pretty, wear feminine colors like red or pink, be thin. I think Be Able to Cook and Clean, maybe not. I know it was like love men, listen to men. Yeah, it's like there's like 4 more things.
Just go ahead and put out your list now. Probably be pretty close.
Yeah, I have to find it. Like be gracious or something like that. I think that was one of them.
I made a video about this topic a while back. I said, don't be a loud woman. I don't like loud women.
You probably can't stand Italian women then.
No, I'm half Italian. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, I guess it was 12 things. I can only remember like 7 of them. But I mean, yeah, of course, obviously none of them were particularly, controversial, I guess, in a normal functional society. But the American, Western world being as degraded as it is, it caused a hurrah. So.
All right. The next thing I want to ask is, you are part of the manosphere, whether you like it or not. And we're all under this umbrella. And one of the things I like to do on my channel is to reach out to men that are hurting, reach out to men that are going through issues, reach out to men that never had we'll say a masculine father or masculine figure in their life. And hopefully myself, Gene, you are these types of figures to a lot of people. I'm a little bit older than you guys, but you want to be a father to somebody. You want people to reach out to you. Talk to a guy that is in a bad place right now. Not saying physically, but mentally. Say he's gone through a breakup, a divorce. Some guys like myself, anytime I've had an issue, I'm a guy where I can take a heart punch.
Mm-hmm.
Guys can't, because they've never been exposed to that type of masculine energy, like a father figure or somebody like that in their life. So what do you say to a guy that's in a bad place right now mentally? And how can he kind of change his focus to something good? Because there's a lot of guys that are out there right now, especially with this whole pandemic thing. I'm sure there's breakups, divorces because of this. So what do you say to a guy like that?
Yeah, I get these messages not infrequently from guys who are in some respective state of rock bottom. Yeah, and I always have to remind them that if you're not dead and you're not in prison, you still have free will. You can still choose. The ability to choose has not been taken from you. And most men, even for all, I would say all men, even when they're at their lowest points, they know what they need to do, because it's the opposite of whatever it is you're doing right now. So you might not be able to climb out right now the hole you're in, but you can certainly start digging, your way up. And then there's not going to be salvation that is given to you by anyone or anything. Like, you're going to have to create that for yourself. This is one of the tests of male character. No one is coming to save you. It's not how life goes for men. So can you save yourself? That's the ultimate, masculine story. Can you save yourself? Can you redeem yourself? And either you can or you won't. I never tell any man that, like, you can't do it. You can or you won't. If you choose not to, it's not because you weren't capable of doing it, but you made the choice. You're not going to, do anything to change your situation. You always have the capability. That's always in you. Every man can change his life in any instance if he cares to. So you can or you won't. Which one's it going to be? I can only present the choice to you. I cannot make it for you. Yeah, and I think most guys, when they just being asked the question, just to have it asked to them, they know what the choice is, and they'll start the climb.
Gene, any questions as the co-host tonight?
Questions?
Yeah, let's stay on that same subject, I think.
Yeah.
We're really, this channel has morphed into different things. There's different things that we do. Some nights we have fun nights. We like to bring up a lot of philosophical questions that we try to kind of throw around the table. And I think this whole platform has turned into a kind of a round table discussion. And I like that the audience does engage us quite frequently. And that's important to me. And it's important for the people that are watching. So, Gene, throw something at AJ.
Yeah, I wanted to hit on real quick on what AJ just said. I think the first thing I would tell somebody is because I was just talking to somebody about this Saturday. The guy, his wife left him 2 weeks ago, and they got two young kids. I would say get your health in order, get your health in check, and keep going. That's it. Get your health in check and just keep going one day at a time. Any questions for AJ? Let's see. Man, you know, I'm on this idea where I'm a pretty big dude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about 6'1". I got up to 215. Last summer I was holding at 180, believe it or not. And I was very, very lean. I really thought it was just sort of genetics that I had an easy time losing weight. Truth be told, now looking back, it's because I was a lot more active as far as work-wise back during that time frame. I'm not necessarily trying to get that lean because 6'1", 180 is like, whoo, man, that's like borderline skinny.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I looked good, but I wanted to be more muscular.
Yes.
So I'm thinking the sweet spot, maybe 195, 190. I'm sitting around 205 right now, towards the end of the day. But like I was asking you before, with the strength and being able to be lean, that's something I'm really interested in, like trying to master. And maybe how do you feel about intermittent fasting? What do you think about intermittent fasting?
It's a strategy. It's a lifestyle. Yeah, I don't recommend intermittent fasting oftentimes for larger men, simply because if you are close to 200 pounds or over 200 pounds, trying to cram in 3,000 plus calories into an 8-hour window within 2 meals, that can actually be quite difficult to do on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, intermittent fasting works really well for guys who are like, you know, basically like medium-sized guys. Like if you are under 180, you're 5'9", like you're probably gonna love it. If you're a bigger guy, just purely as a fat loss strategy, yeah, it might work. As a weight gain strategy, no, it won't. In regards to getting leaner while getting stronger, this is something of a biological hack, but the biggest factor for most men, like I would say the most deciding factor, cardiovascular capacity. If you can improve your 1 mile time, you can get more cardiovascularly fit, while focusing on strength, you will get leaner. No one that runs a 7-minute, 6-minute mile, is going to be fat. They're not. The faster you get, the leaner you get. And that can be done at the same time with strength gains, training concurrently. That's entirely possible. So I mean, if I had to pick an exercise strategy, that would absolutely be it. Diet wise, of course, diet's always, what is diet? Calorie deficit, high protein, and this is being disciplined with it. I become much more fonder of bro style dieting over the years. We're just eating multiple meals and they're measured out because it's actually very precise. You know exactly what your variables are and exactly what's going down. And that can be done at the same time, but it's measurement leads to precision, leads to management. If you really want to know if something's working, measure and manage it. Use some actual objective numbers.
So I find what works best for me is, and simply because of like logistics and time, is larger meals less frequently. And when I mean larger meals, I mean like a pound of meat with like 3 cups of rice.
Yeah.
Twice a day. And then maybe like a few eggs. So kind of 2.5 meals. You're looking at about 2,800 calories. That I find, I don't know, is that just me? Does that work differently for some people as opposed to like 5 or 6 meals a day, smaller meals? Because I find this way works better for me.
No, I mean, it just comes down to logistics. Like you could eat 5 meals a day, you could eat 2 meals a day. When you have smaller meals, I think it is actually easier to lower the calories, just because you know where to pull from.
Yeah.
A larger meal, it's just going to be cutting down the food volume. Like, all right, I'm eating, a pound of, let's just say 80-20 ground beef, I'll switch to 85-15, and then I'll switch to 90-10. I'm having 3 cups of white rice, now I'm having 2.5, now I'm having 2, now I'm having 1.5, now I'm having 1. Which oftentimes there's a psychological factor of like, oh, the meal's getting smaller. Like, fuck, I'm gonna be hungry. Which when you're eating multiple meals a day, you can actually abstain. The hunger instinct actually is somewhat negated. You can nullify it a bit.
I'm one of these guys that can go days without eating. Like the hunger comes and I'm just, all right, I don't care. I'm not worried about being hungry. Although I don't like to make decisions hungry, but I can go a long time without eating.
Yeah, some people can, some people can't. Yeah, it also depends on the like. It depends on training and lifestyle. For guys who are very accustomed to eating often, like skipping meals is not their thing. For guys who they can easily skip meals, they don't mind going without food. It's not a big deal. This becomes these are the factors considered when you actually are trying to lose fat.
I agree.
Like time scale, like then it's like, all right, you have to actually we actually have to order it out and have a disciplined eating schedule because we don't want anything to fluctuate and then we don't know what's having an effect.
I agree. Look, I want to ask you a question. You're a big guy too, so I'm typically when I listen to or look up some sort of like workout, program or advice, it's not geared towards bigger. It's more like average style guys. So I'm gonna save that for the next question for you. First question is, how do you feel about reverse pyramid training? Starting heavy first, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 12. Do you like that method?
I don't care for it at all. The reason being, it's just the injury factor. It's my, I operate under the auspices that you should never get hurt from training. Lifting weights should not be the thing that injures you. Let that be a sport. Something that's actually competitive. Lifting weights is you're in a fucking, air conditioned gym. Most likely, the weights are perfectly machine precision. Like you're not supposed to get hurt lifting weights. So reverse pyramid training, like to start heavy. I'm like, yeah, you can do that, but the acclimation phase to lifting progressively heavier weights, like the warm-ups exist for a reason. Even at the highest levels of competition for powerlifting and strongman lifting, like they don't start with the absolute max. They ramp it up over a few attempts. So I know that method works. Obviously, it exists. There's guys that use it. I don't use it for anyone. If someone likes to use it, great. But as soon as it happens that one time where something tears, it's like, oh shit, maybe this wouldn't have happened had I done a few more sets before I actually did my heavy set. My classical pyramid schemes, ascending, rep schemes, I use that pretty much exclusively in all my programs. And I've had people get hurt doing that because, if you do start to get built towards injury or something feels off, right away, and you haven't tried to hit your top set yet. And I'd rather have someone hit a PR in the last set, rather than the first set, and then now you're fucked for however many weeks.
Any hacks for training for bigger guys versus average guys? Mainstream advice. Any hacks that you found?
I actually wrote an entire guide on this. It's called the Tall Man Guide to Training. So it's a written guide for men over 6 feet tall. Since when you're over 6 feet tall and you have longer limbs, you have different leverages for every lift that you do, and some movements are not going to be biomechanically advantageous compared to if you're a shorter guy. I would just tell you to get the guide, honestly, since I cover the entire body top to bottom. Upper back, traps, lats, arms, triceps, legs, what movements work well, which movements don't work. Factors consider if you're going to try to make a certain exercise, like your go-to strength exercise. It's not so much hacked, it's just customization. The biggest factor with teaching people how to really optimize training is customizing training to fit your body structure. And that could be very minor modifications, it could be no modifications, it could be a lot of modifications. This is what oftentimes my taller athletes struggle in the gym for most sports, because they're working off of training principles or ideas that guys who are 5'7" came up with, but they're 6'7". Once you're over 6 feet tall and you have, let's say, like really long legs, or you have monkey arms, like certain things are going to stress your joints out a bit more. Like you're going to be enduring more joint stress. You're going to be enduring, let's say, more spinal compression. There's going to be high levels of shear force. You have to account for that. So you can't necessarily copy the exact same thing that a guy does when he's 8 inches shorter than you are.
There's one exercise that I cannot do. Like I stay away from like no other, and I had to learn the hard way, is incline bench barbell. I can get away with dumbbells a little bit. On the incline, still hurts. Incline barbell is a bitch for me. So I don't even waste my time doing them. I spend some time trying to get it, like build it up. And I just noticed that would just irritate, aggravate my shoulders, and then I go back to flat and I feel pain, but it's because of the damn inclines. Don't do them anymore.
It depends on shoulder structure. There's 3 different kinds of shoulder joints that guys can have. You could have a type 1, type 2, type 3 acromion process. There's also the angle of the collarbone itself, which can actually vary quite a bit. Some guys have a very angled collarbone angle. Some don't. Some guys it's straight across. And then incline bench, especially if you're trying to do it with a wide grip, it's going to put stress on the bicep tendon and the pec insertion. So yeah, there's guys like I really enjoy doing it. It works well for my shoulder structure. Some guys it doesn't feel good at all. If it doesn't feel good, it's never going to feel good.
Right.
So I mean that's that gets very biomechanically specific, right? Most guys don't think of their bone structure as having an effect on their lifting, but it absolutely does. Yeah, that's why strength lifts suit certain guys really well, and other guys it doesn't.
Yeah, if something don't work for you, basically just don't do it. I mean, you know,
part of the customization process. Training is supposed to be exploratory. So
yeah,
you're testing stuff out for yourself.
Yeah, I've been training since I was 19, and you never stop learning. You never stop. You never stop realizing stuff.
What's the easiest way for somebody to find that course?
Which one?
The course you said.
It's on my website. Yeah.
On your website. What's the name of you'll send me the website so I can put it in the description of the video. So, because I have your Instagram and your Twitter on the description of the video, which I'm sure they can find your website there. But so it's on your website. I've got another question here, and then there's a follow-up question. It says, I've seen you follow knees over toes guy. How do you incorporate your ATG in your daily exercise? And then he has a follow-up question here, and it says also, what is GOTA?
So ATG, so that's the gentleman's name is Mr. Ben Patrick. So he came up with a scientific model training system of developing the entire body for athletic performance. And the exercises themselves are not anything necessarily revolutionary per se, but it's based upon objective strength standards for every single exercise you do, and all the joints and all the muscles being developed in proportion to one another for athletic performance. It's not necessarily for bodybuilding per se. His system is revolutionary. Revolutionary, I say this because he emphasizes the ability of the knees to go over the toes, and having full range flexibility in every single joint, and not avoiding that when in your exercises. So I've been using an ATG modeled system more or less for the past year. I've customized his system to suit my particular needs. But yeah, like I train with ATG exercises all the time, and like I said, some of them are very conventional exercises. And some let's say like the step downs or the reverse step ups. They might be ones you haven't done before, the split squats. There's a few uncommon movements. In regards to GOTA, GOTA refers to, let me make sure I get the acronym for this right. GOTA is the greatest of all-time athletes. That's what that stands for. GOTA was developed by a gentleman, I forget the coach's name, who I believe is based in Louisiana. And the GOTA system is basically designed to optimize your movement efficiency when you are running and sprinting and jumping. All great athletes that are, all great exceptional athletes are exceptional movers. They have the exact same biophysics pattern across all sports. Their legs are able to internally rotate. They use their limbs as bows to transfer force. Their angle of running and striking the ground is at 22.5 degrees. All that's trainable. All that can be trained. That's all systemizable. So that's the GOTA system. The GOTA system assesses your movement in slow motion, particularly running and walking and squatting. And then you start optimizing your body to those efficiency principles. It's not something that you can just give out exercises for. You actually have to get analyzed a little bit. So it's not something I can just be. It's not something I can say, like, just go do this. But nothing in training at a high level actually is. So, but that's GOTA.
All right. I've got a couple comments from Michael Foster. I'm not sure what these mean.
Chun-Li, Sagat. No, Sagat's a character from Street Fighter.
Okay.
And he actually was based on a real individual in Thailand who I trained with, who's named Sagat, who was a Muay Thai champion in the 1980s. Okay. And it was technically my first teacher, for Muay Thai, who I trained with last year for most of the year.
Okay. It's funny. Anyways, I think we'll end up on a positive note here, and it's been a very positive show. I love it. So I think what we want from Alexander tonight to finish off is speak to that guy that wants to train, that wants to create the best version of himself mentally, physically, everything. So speak to that guy, and just that guy or girl, man or woman, that wants to create the best version of themselves? What can you, let's say, what can you do for them, and what can they do for themselves?
Yeah. The thing I tell everybody now, almost everybody, is that you don't need anyone's permission. There is this reticence now, I feel, so often in society, maybe it's just because of the increasingly censored world we live in, that we need we need to receive a yes from an expert, or we need we need someone's like authoritative oversight of like, oh, what do you think of my decision? Should I do this? Like, you don't need anyone's permission to do anything. Life is an N equals 1 experiment. It's your exploration of yourself. If you want to get physically fit, you want to do that for yourself, just go to the gym, walk through the doors, start doing shit. Get on the machines, play around with it. Life's supposed to be fun. Life should be play. Exercise should be play. It doesn't have to be a serious process necessarily, especially in the beginning. And you explore, like you let your natural curiosity direct you. Yeah, and the same thing for anything else. Like if you're trying to learn something, you're trying to improve some particular area, you have the permission to be curious. You're allowed to do that. Not every step you take needs to be the right step, and every decision needs to be the right decision. Your calibration for what is right and what is wrong, what is correct, what is incorrect, that's derived from experience. In the beginning, you don't know anything, everything's equal, and that's great. That's awesome. Being a beginner is wonderful because everything you do is going to be new to you. And it's fun. Everything's interesting. It's your first time doing it. And then over time, you figure out what works, you figure out what doesn't, you learn some more, you make some mistakes, you take a few steps backwards, take a few steps forward, and then you develop intuition. You develop that sense that you develop sort of a philosophy as to what you need to do. And that's how life should be. That's how life should be. So often there's this desire for set paths. And if you just tell me the right things to do, and I'll do them, and I promise. I'm like, there are no set paths anymore in the world. There's no more set careers. There's no more set incomes. There's no more set identities. Even like you're gonna have to pick and choose yourself. You're gonna make those choices. For you, who you are. It has to be functional. It has to work for you. So for exercise, for working out, the first time I went to the gym, I didn't know anything. I didn't know shit about fuck. I just went inside. There's a whole bunch of machines. There's all these weights and things. I'm like, this is a playground. This is cool. I'm just going to sit on stuff and try it and see what it feels like. And I kept doing that for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then after a while, you start to pick things up. And you get a little more efficient with what you're doing. For myself right now, obviously I have a whole variety of programs for every kind of individual body type. So you certainly following a program, following a plan derived from somebody's professional experience, that can save you lots of time, but don't ever lose sight of the enjoyment factor. Life is simple that way. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, you probably won't continue doing it. So if you can apply that to your physical self, you'll never stop.
I love it. That's some great advice there. Good words.
Hopefully it was helpful.
From a well-known philosopher. So AJ, I want Alexander Juan Antonio Cortez. What is the name of your website so people can find you?
Oh, it's easy. Cortes.site. It's 2 words.
Okay. So anybody wants to pick up any of the programs, or can they contact you there also? There's a way to contact.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay, good. AJ, I appreciate your time tonight. We'll have to do this again in the future. Great information. Good time. Primal Man, thank you. Primal Man, thank you for being a co-host tonight. I appreciate that.
Fun to be here.
Yeah, good times. This rain is just ridiculous right now.
Yeah, no, the storm that this is probably hitting you right now passed through here about an hour ago. So
okay, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it never rains like this, but that's why I've been muting my mic. But but AJ, I do appreciate your time tonight. I think there's a lot of valuable information in this show tonight.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, a lot of great insight, and I do appreciate everybody that came to watch tonight. I'd like to recognize everybody. Michael Foster, of course, Carly Ellison, a lot of my regulars here, Emmanuel Godson, Geronimo L. I'm not sure if I've seen him before, Peg Bell, Vivian, Gladiator Vlogs, Mighty Zane, Matt M, 21 Studios, of course. But Grim Chemist, I see he was in here tonight. Excellent. But I do want to recognize everybody in the chat and I appreciate all of you. So we're going to end this broadcast. Again, AJ, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tony.
I hope we can do this again soon.
Oh, yeah.
And I think what we'll do is I'd like to do a topic one night on your philosophies, just your life philosophies.
Sure.
Because I know you're big on I guess archetypes is the word I'm looking for. Because I've seen you speak about archetypes at 21 before.
Yeah, most of my I think none of my 21 con talks have really been fitness focused. I think one of them was, but your mind is the tool that you navigate your life with. It's not. I mean, the mind is what leads the body. It's not the body itself. So obviously, there's certain things I like to get very heavy on. They're mindset, psychological based, versus purely fitness based.
Yeah, I'd love to do that on the next one. That would be awesome.
For
sure. And I think what'd be nice too, we'll bring panel guests on so people can come on live and discuss things with you.
That'd be fun.
Life choices, things like that. Since we're trying to help people too in the meantime, not just have fun. So, and here comes the rain again, of course. But
can't hear it.
Yeah, you can't. Oh yeah, it's just pounding here. So it's crazy. But AJ, again, I appreciate you very much for coming on tonight.
Same.
Everybody in the chat, thanks. And as Ivan says, much love, honor, and respect.
Adios, people.
Thank
Good
you.
night.